Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass.net. This week we're going to look at a real slapping workout for the thumb. It might not sound that tricky of a line, but this line is a killer when it comes to stamina and overall thumb facility. We're looking at the main riff from the tune Lessons in Love by Level 42, played by the bass legend Mark King. The lesson material and rundown of this bass line are available to view over at Talkingbass.net, so just click on the link in the info below. And while you're there, remember to check out the lesson map where you'll find hundreds more lessons on every aspect of bass playing. Then, if you want to take your playing further, just check out any of the courses where you'll find everything from beginner bass guitar to slapping, sight reading, ear training, and much, much more. So, this is originally a synth bass line that Mark King played along to, but in a lot of the live gigs, he'll just play it without the synth, so just slapping. So, let's have a listen to the line along with the practice track. Okay. So, first of all, I'll just work through the notes in there and then I'll give you some technical tips on getting through it. So, first of all, if you know any of your arpeggios, so if you know a major arpeggio and a minor arpeggio, then there's a bit of a shortcut for learning this because I can just tell you the arpeggios. So basically, it's just a G major arpeggio, B major arpeggio, E minor arpeggio, and a C major arpeggio. Okay, so if you know your arpeggios, that's the notes for this riff. But if not, I'm just going to work through them one at a time anyway. So we begin on a G. This is the G major arpeggio. So we start on a G, 3rd fret of the E string. And for each of these, we're obviously going to be playing that little 16th note rhythm. So we've got 8th note, 2 16th notes. Okay, so we've got that rhythm going all the way through. So we have the G, then the B, 2nd fret of the A string, then the D, 5th fret of the A string, and then the G, 5th fret of the D string. Okay, so we just have. Okay, and that's the arpeggio. G, B, D, G. Okay, so that's the first part. Then we move to the B major arpeggio, so we now move to the B, 2nd fret of the A string. Then we have D sharp, 1st fret of the D string, F sharp, 4th fret of the D string, and then the B, 4th fret of the G string. Okay, so all together now. Then we move down to the E minor arpeggio, so we've got the open E string, then the G, 3rd fret of the E string, and then B, 2nd fret of the A string, and then the E, 2nd fret of the D string. So. Okay, and finally we have the C major arpeggio, so that's C, 3rd fret of the A string, then E, 2nd fret of the D string, and then the G, 5th fret of the D string, and finally the C at the 5th fret of the G string. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so. Okay, so we're just playing that rhythm all the way through on each of those notes. Now, in terms of the fingering on this hand, I tend to play just as I would an arpeggio there, but I have seen other people play it differently. So I would normally play 2nd finger for the first note there on the arpeggio, then 1st finger, and then bar or joint bar with the 4th finger, the pinky, for the last 2 notes. And that gives you this nice, clean way of playing it. But you can also just play with the 1st and 2nd fingers. So you could start with the 2nd finger, then the 1st finger for the B, and then just use the 1st finger for the next 2 notes. Okay, so I have seen Mark King play it that way as well. So then. So that's all just with those two fingers. But like I say, you can just play it with the fourth finger, the pinky, for the fifth and the octave. So you want to start really slowly with this. If you've not got much experience with slapping, and you don't have much stamina, this is going to be a bit of a workout, because keeping that incessant rhythm round and round and round is going to be pretty tricky, and especially when you're moving across strings. So just start out slowly, as slow as you need to. Don't worry about the timing too much to begin with. Just get those under your fingers, those notes under your fingers, and just get used to that movement. Okay, and just keep going round and round on it. So, start out slowly, away from the practice track, away from a metronome, just getting it under your fingers, build up speed, and then you can try it with the practice track, which sounds like this. So now let's have a look at some of the technical difficulties that are in there. Now the first is obviously the stamina. This is a really incessant riff that just keeps on and on, so you're going to have to build up some real chops in that thumb to keep up. Now I'd advise you to keep the hand nice and relaxed and roll that thumb with the 16th notes. And to give you an idea of how that works, let's just try this on a G. So just the G there, 3rd fret of the E string. So if I was to just keep the thumb in one position and just play that rhythm, okay, it's fine, but after a certain amount of time, it's going to start wearing you down. But one thing you can do is use a kind of whipping action with the thumb. So I'm kind of bouncing along the string. So you can see there, I play here, and then so I'm kind of getting 3 hits out of one motion. Okay, so I'm starting over the neck pretty much with the first slap, and then I'm just coming along, almost from near where the pickup is, along to the neck. Okay, and if you keep the arm nice and relaxed and, everything nice and relaxed, oops, you can get that nice whipping action and it'll seem a lot easier. So let's apply that whipping action to the riff. Now I'm only really going to use it on the E and the A string, maybe a little bit on the D string, and there's a reason for this which I'll come to in a second. But if we try this with the riff, and I'll play it slowly, you'll be able to see it in action. So. Okay, so you can see it there as I'm moving along, a lot less obvious than when I was playing it down here, because we're obviously having to move across the strings, but just a little bit of it is enough to actually take away from all that arm use that you need, to get all those notes in there. Another thing to look out for are weak notes on the D and the G string. So as an example, if we work up through the C major arpeggio, when we get up onto that top note, if we don't hit hard enough, it can be very weak and sound almost like a tapped harmonic, So you really need to hit quite hard when you get up onto those strings to make it, even out with the slaps on the E and the A string. This is why I advised you to just use that whipping action on the lower strings, on the E and the A string, rather than the D and the G string. Because when you get up onto the top, if you try using that whipping action, you're just not going to get the power in there. And also, because there's a lot of harmonics going on, that as you move the thumb along, you're going to get different harmonics in there. It's going to change the tone of it, and it's just, some of those notes just won't come out, because you might be hitting antinodes and all that kind of stuff. So, on that higher arpeggio, just stick in one place at the end of it and just really hit it. The last bit of advice I'd give you is look out for the string skipping and really pay special attention to that. So when we come up the B major and C major arpeggios, we have to jump, we have to string skip all the way back onto the E string. So if I come up the B major, we're up on that 4th fret of the G string there. The next note is the open E. So we've got to jump all the way back across 4 strings. So if you're not focused, and you're not paying attention, you can miss. As you're coming back, you can hit the A string or, in between, you just don't get a clean hit. So, just play really slowly so that you can develop the muscle memory for that actual move. So as you're coming up, get used to that move, that jump from the G string back to the E string, okay? Same thing on the C major. Okay, once you've played it slowly enough times, developed that muscle memory for the move, then as you build up speed, it won't be too bad. So that's the main riff from Lessons in Love, and as I said, take it really, really slowly, paying attention to all of those little tips that I've given you there, and then build up speed away from the track, away from a click, until you can play it up to speed, and then you can play it with the practice track. So here, I'll just play it one more time, and you can play along. Okay, so like this video if it's helped, subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification bell to get updates on all of the weekly lesson releases. Also get on over to talkingbass.net to see the lesson material for this video, and then check out all the hundreds of other videos on the lesson map by yours truly, and it's all organised by topic for ease of navigation. Also sign up for the free membership to gain access to a whole load of other free goodies like the Scale Reference Manual ebook. Okay, I'll see you next week.